Good morning. Call our commission meeting to order, and note for the record that we do have a quorum of commissioners present. Just before we get started, check my own, make sure it's on silent, avoid embarrassment. It wasn't. So if you'd silence your cell phones, appreciate that. If you plan on speaking today, we have a sign up in the back corner by the door. Please give us your name. We need it for the record. At this time, I ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. At this time, I'm going to turn the gavel over to Commissioner Minnehaha for him to run this part of the meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Today's a special day for the people of Minnehaha County as we spend the next few minutes witnessing the oath of office for one newly elected commissioner and one re-elected commissioner. We are especially grateful to have with us the Honorable Robin J. Howman, presiding judge of the Second Judicial Court with us. I'd like to invite her, obviously, up front for the oath. We know you have a really busy schedule, as always, and we appreciate your time that you set aside for us this morning, so thank you for doing this. First, I'd like to ask Commissioner-elect Cole Heisey up front to take the oath of office. As he's coming up, members of the audience who want to take pictures can come and take a few up, right up here in front. We'll let you do that, obviously.
If you'd raise your right hand. I, Cole Heisey,
I, Cole Heisey,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge all of the duties of my said office
discharge all the duties of my said office
of Minnehaha County Commissioner.
of Minnehaha County Commissioner.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Now we'd like to invite Commissioner Dean Karski up front to take his oath.
Does anybody see my wife running down the hallway?
Is it train?
There she is. She loves the attention. Take your coat off and come up here.
That'll be the last time you give her instructions.
Yes.
You can take a deep breath.
Well, roads are icy.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Raise your right hand. I, Dean Karski,
I, Dean Karski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and the Constitution of the State of South Dakota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge all of the duties of my said office
all of the duties of my said office
of Minnehaha County Commissioner.
of Minnehaha County Commissioner.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We would like again to thank Judge Howman for her time this morning and coming and making a special effort to get here. I'd like to ask that we give the two commissioners another round of applause. And before I return the gavel to Commissioner Karski, if either one of you have any words that you would like to share with us, we could do that now or at the end of the agenda.
Just real quick, family and friends and everybody that supported me to this office, I appreciate being here and taking the time, and I'm just thrilled to be in this position. It is what I love to do, and I'm just happy to represent the voters and citizens of Minnehaha County, so thank you.
I'll echo some of my colleagues' sentiments. Thank you so much for coming today. I'm so very happy to be serving the county and look forward to a bright, positive future this year. And please, you're welcome to reach out. I want to be very communicative over my term. So thank you so much.
All right. Is that one yours? Yeah. Good. All right. Get my order here. I do need an order, a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. First order of business, under our special business, is a selection of the commission chairperson for 2025. I need a motion to nominate an individual to a chair.
Commissioner Karski, I'd like to make a motion to nominate you as the commission chair for 2025, please.
Second?
Thank you. I accept. Comments? All those in favor, say aye. Oh, no, roll call vote. Call the roll.
Benega.
Aye.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we move on. We need a motion to select the vice chair for 2025.
Mr. Chair, I would like to nominate Commissioner Jen Blindberg for Vice Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Any comments? Call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Annually, we have to designate our official county newspapers for 2025. Good morning, Meredith.
Good morning, Commissioners. Meredith Jarko with the Commission Office. I am before you today. Let me get it pulled up here. For the designation of the legal newspapers for the county. So South Dakota codified law dictates that we must designate at least 3 legal newspapers. Minnehaha County has designated 4 legal newspapers since 2019. This year we received letters from the Argus Leader, Brandon Valley Journal, Garrettson Gazette, Minnehaha Messenger, and the Dakota Scout. Here you will see the proposed publishing rates and their circulations. I will make it known that South Dakota codified law has a maximum rate that legal newspapers can charge based on their font size and their column width. So all of the newspapers are maxed out for their font size and column width. So even though those numbers are different, it is because they all have different column widths. Sorry, excuse me one moment. The weekly newspapers, their legal line rate for publishing minutes, that is at a 90% rate of the legal line rate. And for the daily paper, the Argus, they are able to charge up to the legal line rate. So attached in the packet was the letters from all of those publications. And I will make A note here, we did include the total county publishing expense over the years. 2024 numbers are a little bit lower as we have not yet received all of the invoices, but just kind of to give you an idea of how much of that publishing is for commission meeting minutes and how much is for total county publishing costs. But I'm happy to answer any questions. And there are also, I believe, a few of the representatives from the papers. I'm not sure if each paper is here, but.
Okay, so what we'll do first is hear from any of the representatives from the publications that would like to address the commission. Anybody representing any of the publications like to come forward?
Garrick Moritz, editor and owner of the Garrettson Gazette. Thank you, commissioners. Obviously, publication costs are a tenth of 1% of your overall budget at the last time I checked, just to let you guys know. That was a question that happened years ago about, hey, how much does this cost? Well, not very much for you guys, but it does make a difference to the people who read them and to the communities. And that was, of course, which won you guys that Eagle Award when you decided a few years ago to let's go above and beyond and choose 4 instead of the 3 we're minimally required to do. So if you have any questions for me, again, we've had a great relationship with the county and we're happy to help you and help keep the public informed. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am Lisa Miller from New Century Press, which is the owner of Minnehaha Messenger. I want to thank you for your support that we've gotten from you over the last 4 years. Our readers very much so value everything that you're doing and needing to know what's happening. We're very lucky to have Dave here that's been here that's able to report on everything you've done. So thank you for your support and we hope we can continue. Thank you.
Jill Meyer, editor and publisher of the Brandon Valley Journal. Again, I want to thank you for your investing in 4 newspapers rather than 3. We do feel there is a value to our readers. We know they're reading them. They let us know. And we'd sure like to be your legal newspaper of record again in 2025.
Jonathan Ellis with the Dakota Scout. I had not anticipated addressing you, and I will now go sign in. But I'm here to stand by for any questions that you would have about our publication, as well as our Legals Director, Dan Gillison. Thank you.
All right. Move on to public comment. Anybody from the public like to address the commission about this agenda item? Commission, I'll turn it over to you for questions, action, motions, etc. Do we take these one at a time or do we vote on them as a group?
Yeah, it's up to you. You can do them all at the same time if you wish.
Are you okay with taking them all as a group? Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I can lead off. I just would like to just kind of note that we've got a couple other local government entities that have made the switch from Argus Leader to the Dakota Scout. That seems to be working well for them when we get the feedback from them. I do like that we continue to have 4 newspapers of record. So I guess my motion would be to establish the following 4 newspapers as our newspapers of record: Brandon Valley Journal, Garrettson Gazette, Minnehaha Messenger, and the Dakota Scout.
So we have a motion.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Additional comments?
I'll just make one. I appreciate the fact that we see representation almost on a regular basis from all 4 of those here or in personal contacts and asking questions even before and after meetings. And I also appreciate the fact that we have the 3 rural communities well served.
I echo those comments, and I made the comment years ago when we decided to go to 4 that people who subscribe to a newspaper actually do read it and are involved and informed, and I think it's important to maintain that communication through these forums. So I appreciate all four of you for being here and taking the time.
Yeah, I would also like to add, I think supporting and maintaining the county's relationship with the rural newspapers is very important. I'll also be in favor of adding the Dakota Scout as the fourth paper of record for the county. And that'd be for a few reasons. They distribute to approximately 300 locations within the county. They're the only paper that is produced and printed in Sioux Falls. There's also a local contact available if any issues arise. So I'd be in favor of that motion.
All right.
I could just comment that I would agree with the statements already made, and I also I'm not sure if other papers do this, but I was made aware that the Dakota Scout sends out papers with every Meals on Wheels delivery, and I think that's an excellent service to the recipients of that, so thank you.
I did not know that. All right, call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. All right, another required action we take is the record of non-elected department heads. Morning, Tom.
Thanks, Commission Chair and Commissioners. It is what it sounds like. This is simply a record of non-elected department heads. They're all listed here by department. One, Jacob Maris, are doing a great job as the interim highway superintendent. He's also listed on here as an interim, but would ask that you make a motion to enter these names and positions into the minutes.
All righty. Public comment on this agenda item. Commission action, questions, comments?
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. We now have the appointment of the Minnehaha County Coroner for 2025.
Good morning, Commissioners. Meredith Jarko from the Commission Office. I have before you today a motion to consider a motion to reappoint Dr. Kenneth Snell as the County Coroner. He's served in this position since 2011, and there's a resolution attached to appoint him today. A formal agreement with Dr. Snell for his services, including as medical examiner, was approved back on December 17th, and he is here today, but that is the motion before you.
All right. Public comment on this agenda item. Dr. Snell, we appreciate your work. Would you like to address the commission? No pressure.
No, it's just, as always, it's a pleasure working with you as we go through the year, continuing to help the city and the county continue in this process. It is a tough, challenging process. As you may be aware, there are constantly new coroners being in this state. I just been made aware of 3 new coroners. It's getting harder and harder to find people to do this. We now have several counties where the sheriff is serving as the coroner because nobody wants to do the job. So I'm grateful for your continued support and all that we do and helping us do the job that we're trying to do for this county. So thank y'all.
We're grateful for you, and I'm sure Milstead probably more than anybody else. All right. Commission action.
I would make a motion to reappoint Dr. Snell as the county coroner for 2025.
Second.
Motion and a second, call the roll.
Blyenberg.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to one of the more awkward things we do as a county commission, and that's set our own salaries for the year.
Good morning, Tom Greco, Commission Administrative Officer. So yes, this is required each year at the first meeting. Just by way of background, SDCL 7-7-5 does set a standard or a minimum rate for county commissioners of $7,233. However, the commission, and all commissions generally do, they can modify that. As background, I have provided on this sheet a history back to 2019 of the salaries granted to the commissioners over the past several years. Today, the proposal before you is a resolution, which I'll flip to in a moment here, that reflects essentially a 5.5% increase from 2024. This would put the commissioner salaries at $36,358.40. The commission chair, based on additional duties, would receive an additional $1,518.40, bringing that to $37,876.80. The payroll budget, as you may recall, back in September, we did program in, as normally done, approximately 3%, basically a cost of living adjustment, with a recognition that there could be additional increases that can be absorbed by the budget, which this can be. One thing I do want to point out is that you all, the commissioners here in Minnehaha County, and dissimilar to some of the other counties in the state, you do not receive health insurance nor participate in retirement benefits through the county. So with that, I'll bring up the resolution here, which again, it just states what the non-chair commissioner pay would be and then what the chair commissioner pay would be. So I would recommend your approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Public comment on this agenda item. All right. Commission, I'll turn it over to you for comments and action.
Mr. Chair, I'll just make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as it is presented. Please call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to our consent agenda. If there's anybody from the public that would like to comment on an item on the consent agenda, we will take your input at this time.
Gary Meyer. Looking through the bills to be paid, there's always a lot of bills that I don't understand what they're for. But in lieu of last week's discussion by both Dean and Gerald mentioned the South Dakota Association of County Officials and of County Commissioners, I see the bills to be paid this week. There's a $48,000 membership to the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and a $14,385 for 3 memberships to the South Dakota Association of County Officials. And I know you can't respond during this because it's a consent agenda. I would like to know who those memberships are for, and being both Dean and Gerald brought it up last week, I would like to know what the county actually, how the county actually benefits from being a member of those 2 associations. So I would ask a commissioner to pull that off the agenda, the consent agenda, and provide a little bit of input for the public, just what those 2 associations do for the county. Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. Commission, anybody like to pull anything from the agenda?
I'd make a motion to withdraw this.
We don't need a motion if you just would like to.
Yeah,
just-
yeah. And the reason I do that, I think it'd be good to have that conversation if the public is concerned about the value of those 2 organizations.
All right, so we will pull the bills to be paid from the consent agenda and move it to the back of the regular agenda. So that will become item number 18 on our regular agenda.
It'll be right after public comment.
Okay. Good. All right, so we look for a motion to approve the consent agenda without the bills to be paid.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Kipley.
Aye.
Blindberg.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Moving on to our regular business. First agenda item is a public hearing to consider a medical cannabis license for Genesis Farms LLC. Kim from the Auditor's Office, Deputy Auditor, will be presenting the information on this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kim Christensen with the Auditor's Office. We received an application for a medical cannabis dispensary license from Genesis Farms LLC. The license would allow for the sale of medical cannabis at their establishment located in Minnehaha County. The application was sent to the state's attorney and planning department for review. This dispensary location selected by the applicant required a conditional use permit to be issued to allow for the dispensary to be located at their requested location. The Minnehaha County Planning and Zoning Commission met back in November to consider the CUP application, which was subsequently approved, and no appeals were filed. It is the opinion of the Auditor's Office that all the requirements have been met for this application to be submitted for your consideration. And just for the record, we do have one available license per the ordinance, which was amended last year to allow for a rolling application period.
All right. Public comment on this agenda item. Is the applicant here? I spoke to the Emmett, okay, and he said his manager would be here. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody, and good morning. My name is Daniel Shutlawful. I'm the current store manager for the Sioux Falls location we have currently. I just want to be here to answer any questions to my best abilities for you all, and thank you all for your time.
Okay, if you just want to have a seat in case any questions come up. We'll now take public comment on this agenda item. Anybody from the public like to address the commission on this application? All right, turn it to the commission for questions, action, comments.
I'd like to ask a question, if that's possible. Got a number here. Just want to have an idea of how long you are with the current construction, and then also how far is it from the nearest dispensary within the city of Sioux Falls?
So construction has begun already. We are, I think, looking to be open close to the beginning of March if everything goes through smoothly. As for the distance to the next closest dispensary, I believe it would be our other location off of Minnesota Avenue, or southern Minnesota Avenue.
Yeah, and then one additional question. Have there been any surveys done with the local residents? Have there been any complaints or concerns?
The only thing I can think of is we did invite the local public around that new location out to a kind of a meet and greet across the street to address any concerns or answer any questions, kind of like we're doing right now.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commission action.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve this application. Call the roll. I'm sorry. It kind of went out of order here. We took the proponents, any opponents to this application. I asked for public comment, but any formal opponents to this application. And getting out of order, I apologize. All right, call the roll.
Kipley.
Aye.
Bleinberg.
Aye.
Izey.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye, motion carries. Consider a motion to award rural access information infrastructure funding to Edison, Split Rock, Logan, Grand Meadow, and Wall Lake Townships. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, Commissioners. In front of you, you have the potential awards for rural access infrastructure funds. These townships have put in a lot of work applying for these funds. They had an application due in August, they had one due in October, and then there's a scoring criteria which the Commission set forth in a resolution in 2023, which these were all scored against. And you can see on the far right-hand side their RAFE score. Once we get past Wall Lake there, there's a remainder of $10,000, which will have to be awarded in a future grant process. And I expect that we will have some leftover funding from these projects, which will carry over for a small award for next year.
Okay. Public comment on this agenda item. Commission questions or action?
Mr. Chair, I just have a brief context question. Can you just explain the RAFE program a little bit generally? I think it was a 3-year program. Is this year 2 or 3, or kind of where are we at in that process? Because I think we're asking the legislature to potentially do it again. If you can just give us that context.
Yep. So this is the last year of funding for the project. Town and Townships is currently working in peer to try to get additional funding for this project. There's definitely a need for it for the townships and secondary road systems within the county, but this is our final year of funding.
And it was 3 years?
3 years.
And we had not very much participation the first year. It kind of took a little while to take hold, but this was a good competitive year where we had multiple applicants. Is that fair?
It's fair. Yeah, this is the first year we've had more requested funds than we've had funds available.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. My question, I guess, is the money from the state and local money over those 3 years, kind of, can you break it down? Was it 2-to-1 state, or do you have any idea how that worked?
Sure. So it's an 80-20 grant. 80% came from the state, 20% came from local. All of the townships provided the 20% on their own. The county itself didn't participate in this grant, other than we were the ones who gathered the information from the state, gave it to the townships, and then went through the awards and contracts and execution of the contracts.
Okay. Additional questions? Look for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Call the roll.
Benega?
Aye.
Hipley?
Aye.
Heisey?
Aye.
Bleinberg?
Aye.
Karski?
Aye. Motion carries. Look for a resolution establishing the rate of pay for election workers, facility rent, and mileage reimbursement for the 2025 election year. We have an election?
Good morning, Leah Anderson, Auditor's Office. So I have two fairly standard items for you this morning. The first one is establishing the resolution for election worker pay, facility rent, and mileage for the 25 election year. And also just a note, the county doesn't have any elections scheduled for the 25 election year. However, we are working with the school, the Sioux Falls School District, in potentially running their election. So in accordance with Codified Law 121511, the Auditor's Office is requesting approval of the 2025 election worker rate of pay resolution, which also includes facility rent and mileage reimbursement. The pay rates were significantly changed in 2023. In 24, we did not make any changes. For 25, I've made just a couple slight changes. I've increased the counting center, resolution board, and absentee from $16 to $17 an hour. The absentee superintendent pay is increased from $18 to $18.50 per hour, and all other items are remaining unchanged. This item also establishes the rate of pay for the post-election audit. There's no change there. We established that last year. So I've included the resolution. Let's see here. There we go. And also I included a chart. What I did, Carrie Deaver and I had discussed some of these items. So I reached out to our closest, largest counties to take a look at some of their pay rates. I would say we kind of fall roughly in the middle of the two of them in a lot of areas. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Okay. Public comment on this agenda item.
Michael Stanglin. I wasn't really planning to speak, but I'll write my name down after I'm done. And I just want to offer positive encouragement on this. Now, I personally, as someone who cares very deeply about this kind of stuff, where I mean, even if there wasn't pay, I'd be happy to help out in, that kind of precinct or counting position. Since there is pay offered, I'm happy to take it. But I can say, especially from being one of the people who assisted when there was a need with counting the absentee ballots, just how important this is. And so, seeing people working hard, especially through the night. So it's a matter, it's a good thing to be doing, and it's good to be, rewarding people for putting in hard work and making sure these elections are seen through properly. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments? Thank you for signing in, Michael. Commission action, questions, comments?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Kipley.
Aye.
Bleinberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Benega.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, move on to a resolution establishing polling locations in Minnehaha County for the 2025 election year.
Good morning, Leah Anderson again, Auditor's Office. So this resolution is also an annual one that we do, establishing our precincts and polling locations. There are no changes, other than we did have a couple name changes that occurred during the year. Sioux Falls First has changed to Life Change Church, and so we have that officially on here. I believe that's the only name change. The other one we had during the year last year, and we made that change at the time, and that is the De Dios S.L. Pader Church. And that used to be Calvary Chapel. They sold that church to a different congregation. So there are no changes to this resolution. I will say too, though, that there are a couple locations, as I reached out to all of these polling places over the last month and a half, there are a couple that are making official votes in January in their council meetings at their churches. They've indicated that they would still be a polling location, but that official vote doesn't come until January, and we have to do this the first meeting of January. So I am in communication with those two locations.
Okay.
Any questions? I'd be happy to answer.
Public comment on this agenda item. Commission?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Benega.
Aye.
Kipley.
Aye.
Bleinberg.
Aye.
Heisey.
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to public comment. Right? Didn't miss anything. Okay. Public comment on any non-agenda item.
Good morning, Cindy Meyer. I just want to share some information. On Tuesday night, April 9th of 2024, I watched employees from the City of Sioux Falls and the Minnehaha County Auditor's Office run ballots through the ES&S DS 850 tabulating machines. At the end of the batch of ballots, the data from the ES&S tabulating machines was downloaded onto thumb drives. These ES&S thumb drives were then brought to Jake, who would then upload the data onto the HP computer he was using. Jake's computer is the election management system, which is supposed to be a hardened computer. Once Jake had that data uploaded and verified, he would remove the ES&S thumb drive and put it into the box on the table. The thumb drives from the ES&S machines do not get used again. Jake then took a thumb drive he retrieved from his front shirt pocket and inserted that thumb drive into the same hardened HP computer he was using. Jake would offload election results onto that thumb drive and then pass the thumb drive over to Jason, who was sitting next to him. Jason was operating the internet-connected computer, which is used to log into the total vote system for election night reporting. Jason would insert the thumb drive from Jake's hardened EMS computer into the internet-connected total vote computer he was using. I feel confident in saying the HP computer Jason was using was connected to the internet because when he was done offloading the data from the thumb drive from Jake onto his computer, a city employee sitting next to Jason using another HP computer would pull up the information on her computer. The information Jason had just downloaded onto his computer and sent to the state. She would verify with Jason the information was the same as what Jason had just uploaded to the state. This was the process I observed in getting the data from the ESNS tabulating machines to the Minnehaha County computer. I also observed the thumb drive that Jake was given to Jason, that Jason put into his HP internet computer was given back to Jake. As Jake would receive another independent thumb drive from an employee using the ESNS tabulating machines, Jake would again download that information onto his HP computer. Once that process was complete, Jake inserted the thumb drive returned from Jason into the hardened computer that he had already been inserted into the internet connected election reporting system, which is an obvious security violation. The thumb drive used to upload and download data was transferred between the internet-connected and the hardened computer 6 times if speaking in a complete transaction, or 12 times if counting each individual transaction. The representatives from ESNS, Jared Schwab, was notified of this security violation as he was monitoring the election, but no corrective action was taken. This is what I filled out on a sworn affidavit. And I have it, it's signed, it was signed the 30th of May. After I witnessed this, we recorded it. This was information that was brought up last week in regards to the violations that this county has had in regards to the election. And I just want to say, after last week being called a liar, that we aren't presenting the facts. I just wanted to let you know that I filled this out in May. It had nothing to do with the 2024 general election, and I resent the fact I was called a liar, as for the rest of South Dakota canvassing were called liars.
Additional public comment.
Kathy Sullivan, I did sign in, and I prayed about this morning. Do I come down here or do I go to a prayer group? And I notified them, please pray. I think this commission and everything that I've seen the last few years since I've come home from being retired from being an airline pilot has just amazed me. A couple questions I have is, I hear questions and I never hear answers. When are answers given? I know you can't do it at the time, but when are answers given? And I hear it all the time, and I'm kind of amazed that I don't hear answers to that. And one thing I just wanted to be real brief. Meetings in the morning are hard for a lot of people to come to. I'm a person that I had to do a lot, and you can't come in the mornings. A lot of people are working now. I'm retired. I can. A lot of people can't. Why are meetings not where the public, the people who put you in office, and not able to come? I see a gentleman with his young children. He's starting to raise them up to be involved, and this generation is not raised up to be involved. They don't even know what civics. There are no civics classes anymore, but lest I digress. I read something. I started kind of going online and reading, and I just wanted to make a real important that I thought was June 8th, 2022. I read in the Argus Leader, and I'll read it off of there. Republicans in Minnehaha County ousted Auditor Ben Kite in favor of his opponent, Leah Anderson, on Tuesday night's primaries. This was the primaries. And I'm going to say the date again, June 8th, 2022. When it talked about Minnehaha County, as far as I understand, this is the biggest county in the state. It said, as of Wednesday morning, the very next day, there were still 2 precincts in Minnehaha County not reporting on the South Dakota Secretary of State's website, which leaves these races at only 97% reported. Leah's, from what I've heard and been at the meetings, the ones I couldn't attend, we're starting to watch online now. If you can't make it at 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm watching these meetings. I started watching in December of '23. I was appalled at what I heard. And I tell a lot of business people that I know, met a lot of people through my mother, Marion Sullivan. And I tell a lot of people I know, you need to be watching these meetings. And people are starting to watch now because they can't come at 9 o'clock in the morning, whether they have jobs or they run businesses. But when I see this that says that the reporting wasn't finished, and Leah took a lot of heat. I've never seen so much heat. I don't even know what the argument's about. I'll be honest, I'm praying for you guys all the time because I want you to succeed. You guys were voted in by the people. You're servants. I don't say that in a negative way. I say it in a good way, biblical way, to serve the people. They want you to serve the people, but the people need to be knowledgeable what's going on. And I just want to leave it really, what I read here was even back then when they had from what I've read too, that they had a bigger place to do the election results. I was here, I've helped. I helped in the primaries, I helped in the general, and crowded is not even the word. There's not the room to even count and do what they need to do. I'm not going to say any more except that when I read that article, I just thought again, June 8th, 2022, Minnehaha County didn't, that wasn't under Leah Anderson. That was under your previous man. And there's, a guy, and I don't know who he was or whatever, but I know the people wanted Leah. I like accountability. I love transparency. In our job, we had to have transparency. There were no potted plants. If you didn't do what was right and speak up and say what needed to be said at the time, it could cause an accident in an airliner. Anyway, thank you for your service, and I hope you guys, what you need to know, there's a prayer coalition going on now that's really starting to pray for you guys, so I just want you to be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional public comment.
Michael Stangland, and I guess a bit of following off of what she just said is that as previously mentioned, I was one of the people that helped with this past election and dealing with ballots. And for all the things I've seen about what went on with the election and the amount of time it took, one of the things that I haven't seen mentioned very often is the sheer number of absentee and mail-in ballots, which, a lot of people talk, across the nation as far as the amount of time it takes some places to get votes in. But I'd say something I saw here is that, yeah, it took time to get it done, but what I see is it came down to sheer numbers of ballots and the number of people to count them. Now, I only had time to help for so long, but I know there were people that were coming in to help, and if I had been able, I would have helped more than I did, but sometimes there are sheer logistical issues, and when it comes down to that, I think that what needs to be looked at is, okay, with what we have to work with and what we have to get through, how are we approaching that? And I think that under the circumstances, that when you have people counting through the night, not we're going to stop now, we'll go take a break and come back to it later, but we're going to keep going. We are just going to keep at it until we get this done. We'll get whoever we can to get it done faster. Because I can tell you, from even the short period I did help open those absentee ballots, helped get them just so they could be run through the machine. Because I can tell you, I would say that for each individual ballot that had to be taken out of an envelope and set so that it could be counted, that added like at least 2, possibly even 3 times, doubled or tripled the amount of time it would take to count each of those ballots. And with what I understand to be the sheer number of absentee ballots, well, that adds a whole lot of time. And so I'd say that for what was done, compared to where you see the places that well, we got a lot of ballots, but we're going to take weeks or months to get it done. And we're just, I mean, I think that what happened was, I mean, the best that could have been expected under the circumstances, because you did have people coming in to help, people called in to help, people trying to get this done as quickly as they could, and focusing on getting it done with some people, as I understand it, like, we're just, I mean, even skipping sleep to make sure that we can get these in as soon as we possibly can. So for all the things that are mentioned about issues that may have happened or delays, I just think that the sheer logistics that I would imagine anyone in the same position would have at least the same amount of difficulty. And so I think that under the circumstances, yeah, I mean, so thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Jennifer Foss, Minnehaha County. I wasn't really planning on speaking, so I will sign in. I just want to say it's a new year. We have a new member on the board. Welcome, Cole. I'm excited. Walked a lot of doors for you. I'm excited to have you here. And I'm just looking for us to maybe look at this as a fresh start, maybe look at the lessons of the last couple years, and not to criticize anybody, but maybe just to look for solutions. I would hope, Mr. Kipley, that maybe you'd consider that meeting with Leah, and we could work together to make the next elections even better. I just think it's tough when feelings and emotions are on the line, because a lot of people work really hard. And I just am going to challenge you guys to be open to suggestion and work with groups that are interested in these things and try to just do better for our county. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for signing in. All right, moving on from public comment, we pulled in an item off of our consent agenda, and that's the bills to be paid. We have a total of $1,657,691. That's bills for just the last week, I believe. So was public comment on it. Commissioner asked that it be pulled off. I'm going to ask if anybody, Tom, do you have anything that you would like to address to the commission on this item, or? We usually have a presentation from somebody. I don't know if you or the auditor's office, so.
I could point out the bill, approximately $48,000, approximately $44,000 of that goes towards the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners. An additional $4,000 is sent to the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners, which in turn goes to the National Association of Counties, both of which we're a member of. I would just add that in terms of the role that the SDACC and even NACO for that matter play are fairly extensive, primarily with regard to legislative advocacy. If you recall last summer, they did quite a bit of work on behalf of counties for the county summer study, or for the summer study on county funding. They also provide a large range of training and workshops for commissioners in particular, but also other types of appointed officials throughout counties. They hold a monthly webinar, which has actually really turned out to be a phenomenal thing they do each month, where we kind of get together as a group of counties to hear the latest and greatest on some of the more current issues and topical things that are going on out there. Also research, as you know, and this is tied to the legislation and advocacy, the SDACC does employ lobbyists to lobby on behalf of the counties. They also do quite a bit of research, and even SDACC staff does research for the counties as well. This has become an invaluable tool for us in particular, and certainly other counties over the years. And then also that piece with NACO. What that does is that takes us to another level with regard to different access to different types of research materials, and also with that and the SDACC in general, just the ability to network, talk to other counties, understand what their issues are, and try to figure out solutions to, I think, issues that we all share. So that's all I have.
All right, so we'll take public comment on this agenda item.
Gary Meyer. So with that said, you provide the public with a list of the expenses that you pay. Do they provide you with their budget of what they spend their money on?
I'll address that. Yes, they do.
And is that available to the public? Could I get a copy of that?
I'd have to check, but I believe it is.
Okay.
Yep. You can go to right to the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners, and it should be available online right there.
Okay. And could I ask who the memberships? We got 1 membership to the county commissioners and 3 memberships to county officials. Can I ask who is the member?
Auditor, Register of Deeds, Treasurer.
And what about the county commissioners?
The South Dakota Association of County Commissioners is the $48,000 membership. The $47,9518 is for each of those 3 offices.
So there's 4 memberships we're paying for, but we only have 3 offices that are actually members?
No, we're all members. What's your question?
Well, my question is, on the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners, who attends those meetings? Because there's county officials and county commissioners. So there's 1 membership for commissioners and 3 for officials. So I'm assuming on the officials, this is 3 offices that you mentioned that would be allowed to attend or provide input. Who attends the county commission? Because they're 2 different entities.
I have been past president or president of the association. I attend the quarterly board meetings. I have a alternate, and I can't remember, I think Commissioner Heisey would like to be the alternate. So we do have an alternate if I can't attend. It's up to each one of the elected officials that I mentioned to attend these meetings. There's great benefit from them. So this is a longer conversation than what we need to have here. If you'd like to have more information, I encourage you to go to that website. There's training for new commissioners. We will have that, and all elected officials in March, I believe. And our membership in NACO, the national, virtually 100% of the counties of South Dakota are members of the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and County Officials. We're also then members of NACO, the National Association of County Officials and County Commissioners, which there are thousands of members there. We have a national meeting. I've seen the President of the United States speak at our meetings. This is how we get attention to county issues, and that's why we have this association.
Okay, thank you. Being you brought it up last week, and I see the membership fee seemed to be quite high. I was curious as to what was involved. Thank you for answering.
Yes. Any additional comments on this agenda item?
Stanglund, it is possible I'm not fully understanding, the way it was explained, and this isn't something I'm looking for an answer for right now or looking to get a response back right now like that. But based on one of the things mentioned is the matter of advocacy. And potentially something related to the lobbying as far as county issues. Now, it's possible something was done with it, but it would be nice to know what this organization was doing this last year related to the matter of SB 201, which fortunately was later defeated as, I believe, referred law 21, which was something that very directly affected county issues since it took local regulatory authority away from counties, and something that directly affected this county in particular, since it's one of those counties that actually put in place regulation that would have been deprived by that. So if there was, it would be nice to know, again, not looking for an answer right now, but it would be nice to know if that organization was actually properly making use of some of that funding to advocate against that legislation, that referred law, and if so, it would be nice to know what they were doing, because if an organization such as that can't be bothered to put in any effort to campaign or lobby or advocate against legislation that is explicitly against local county authority, local county control, then I would question, okay, what is the value of an organization like this if it can't be bothered to, work on behalf of its membership on an issue like that? Thank you.
I can address that question if anybody else. the association did not take a position on Senate Bill 201, as we do with, as any good organization will do with lobbyists. We become an source of information so that if legislators had questions on issues related to a matter, they can come to the association and get good answers. Some items we do take very firm positions on, like local control. So, taxation and just various other things, as you could probably understand, when you have 66 counties with 3 to 5 county commissioners per, there's a lot of great and varied opinions, and it's hard to get consensus on some items, and other items we stand together. So sometimes we just serve as a source of information for legislators, and other times we do take definite positions advocating for issues that would benefit all counties. So, additional public comment. I'll turn it over to the commission for action. Need to approve the bills.
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll.
Lineberg,
Aye.
Kipley,
Aye.
Izzy,
Aye.
Benega,
Aye.
Karski.
Aye. Motion carries. Commission liaison reports. Kind of getting out of the holiday season, not a lot of meetings, but any...
Mr. Chair, I guess I'll just give my colleagues the update when it comes to some collaboration with Lincoln County on concepts related to providing indigent defense. So our public defender's office and then our public advocate office, we've been meeting with Lincoln County as they consider 3 different options. They could stick with their status quo, which is to contract out with a private sector attorney and group of attorneys to provide their public defense for Lincoln County. They could, secondly, they could start their own public defender office and hire up attorneys and run that out of Canton, presumably. Or a third option, they could potentially contract with us as Minnehaha County. So we're helping them flesh out what those options are, just from our experience running 2 offices, what an office would look like for them, and seeing if there's a win-win where we could save each other some money. The idea for Minnehaha County is if we set up an office that's dedicated to Lincoln County, that would be a third office for Minnehaha County, and that could come in handy when there are cases that have conflicts, possibly multiple co-defendants that need to be represented by different counsel. Right now, we can pass those off to a public advocate office, but then that's where our ability stops, and it goes out to a private sector attorney, which in most cases ends up being more expensive to us. So looking for potential collaboration with Lincoln County and a potential win-win on public defense costs. But I hope to have more details and a sense of where Lincoln County is leaning on those 3 options probably in the next month or 2 as we head into budget season. But that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? It's a great program we have trying to work with Lincoln County, so fully supportive. Commissioner Blindberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think many of us have the legislative breakfast on our calendar for this week, and just to share that I think the format of this one is more the legislators host and share information that's significant to them that they're going to be working on this year. So looking forward to that, as opposed to the breakfast that we host, where we kind of share some of the priorities that the counties have, or the UJS breakfast that some of us attend, where they meet with legislators and share their priorities. So looking forward to that on Thursday. And then also just a thank you to some of our department heads and directors and the boards that we liaison with through our state association. I actually learned that not all the counties in South Dakota, the commissioners don't have the liaison assignments that we have. And having talked to some of the department heads in other counties, they're kind of envious. I think it's a really great system that we have where each department head has a liaison that they can reach out to and meet with regularly or communicate with as needed. So just a thank you, because as the new year starts, we rotate some of those positions. And so there's already been a few meetings, and there's a few more on my calendar with new assignments, new boards. People will have to retrain and re-explain with greater detail what those different boards and departments do. And my first one of the year was to meet with the director of the Juvenile Detention Center with Jamie Gravitt, and I got a tour of the new building that's under construction right now. It's just a big project for the county and is going very well and is very impressive. And I know they are looking forward to having some open houses for the public to be able to see that progress at some point. So just to stay tuned for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, non-action commission discussion. All right, hearing nothing, I'm going to move on. We will have an executive session immediately following the commission meeting for the purposes of South Dakota Codified Law 1, 25-2, 1, 3, 4, and 6. So I will look for us a motion to enter into executive session.
So move.
Motion a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next door. Thank you, Tom.